Hello and welcome to Haverford Systems' brief guide for planning your next web conferencing room. This ebook was made for organizations who are ready to implement professional web conferencing and webinar-ready conference rooms. Throughout this video, we will review what we feel are the most important aspects to planning a productive web conferencing space using your favorite web conferencing software that your organization is already using. First, we will start by understanding your business drivers. Then we'll move on to webinar best practices. We'll talk about a guide to the best web-based video solutions. We'll talk about choosing your space. We have a review of web conferencing cameras as well as web conferencing microphones. Then we'll talk a little bit about acoustics and the ABCs of acoustical solutions. We'll spend a little time on proper lighting, furniture suggestions, facility preparation, conference room standards, preparation and pre-launch, and ensuring that your system will have zero downtime. Then finally, we'll just talk a little bit about Haverford Systems and the company that is making this presentation. So first of all, understanding your business drivers. Who is actually going to be using the system? It can be a very different system depending on whether it's going to be a sales department using the system, management, your CEO, or your clients. Secondly, what are they going to be using the system for? Is this for webinars for training? Are you going to be making presentations to end clients? Or are you going to be using this mainly as a meeting point for conferences? Are most presentations local, web-based, or remote? Can you be saving time with meeting with vendors, customers, and prospects just by using video conferencing? This can be helpful information for us to help you choose which type of web-based conferencing really would fit your organization best. What type of software is your organization using? Does your organization need to share your screen? And also, bring that a step further, do you need to collaborate on a single document at the same time live? What hardware will run your audiovisual system? Do you have a dedicated PC that is ready with a wireless keyboard for end users? Or do you want to have a dynamic setup where you have multiple inputs for laptops? Are you going to be using a soft, or have you already invested in hard video conferencing codecs such as Polycom and Cisco? So those questions we would like to address. And then we'll talk a little bit about webinar best practices. Tailoring your presentation to your audience is obviously key with any presentation, and you always want to start with a compelling title that's both relevant and exciting. You want to use the email notifications that are built into most of these web-based video conferencing services, and use those to your advantage and make them attractive and have the invitation reflect a compelling layout for your presentation. Secondly, present with confidence. Understand the technology that you're going to be using and make a test call so that you're familiar with the structure. Your enthusiasm can be contagious. You're already ahead of the curve because you're presenting over the web, saving everyone time and money, especially on travel, and you can use this to your advantage to keep your presentation enthusiastic and upbeat. Finally, using the right type of camera can really be key when you're trying to make dynamic webinars and web conferences. Throughout this document, we're going to understand some of the HD-PTZ-USB cameras available on the market and help you understand where are the best places to use those cameras in which conference rooms, and we're going to hit that subject pretty heavily because it's very important. Cloud-based video conferencing services go all the way from Skype to GoToMeeting, Cisco WebEX, Adobe Connect, Cisco Jabber, Microsoft Live Meeting. There's so many different services out there, and there's a lot of different unique features. So we have created a service comparison. And I'm not going to go through every little bit here, but this ebook is going to be available for download, and I think that it's going to be a very helpful service for organizations looking to hone in on which system fits their budget and service. Now we'll move on to choosing your space. This really depends on how many people are going to be using the system at the same time and how many people are normally in a group setting. Which room could be most effective for your system depends on who's using it as well. And that's pretty straightforward. And finally, you have to be mindful of the location of the area and wonder if it's going to be too busy or noisy of an area could be potentially distracting for your meetings. Now we will get to a little bit of acoustics and what you can do to help prevent distractions, but that's just one thing to be mindful of. Now here's the USB camera review. Here we have two of the leading HD-PTZ-USB cameras on the market. The Vidtel 360 is a 720p HD-PTZ camera that uses USB 2.0. It has a 12x zoom and it is $13.99. Now the Vidtel Clearview HD-PTZ is 1080p. The big things you get there is you get network control over IP, allowing for remote controllers outside of the room. And you also have presets because the camera has a robotic memory in the motor to allow for up to 6 presets. So it's a very nice camera. It's about 3 times the price. It comes in at $4,400. Then we'll move on to your desktop solutions. These are really just fitting in your budget here. It's only $35 for a regular 720 16:9 USB camera from Microsoft with a built-in microphone. So it's a great 3-year warranty, good desktop solution. And I'm not going to go through all of these, but they have different unique features that you might want to look into. Now the USB microphones are a lot of times overlooked. For conference rooms, you definitely want to make sure you think about using a USB microphone that fits your room. The Clear One Chat 150 here is good for about a 4 to 6 person room, and these can have a dual pods so they can be connected to one another. The Clear One Max Attach is a little bit more expensive, and that adds your audio conferencing capability to be able to do audio conferences directly. And then the Clear One Interact Pro, that's a conference room solution with built-in microphones to the table. It has a lot of unique features such as adaptive modeling controls and automatic duplex gating and things of that nature. Desktop solutions, we just have a note here that we always suggest wearing a USB headset if the audience members will be participating in the conversation. I'll just try to be quick here and brief about the acoustics. Just remember that everything inside a conference room will affect the acoustics, and most important things are size, shape of room, furniture, walls, ceiling, and flooring. If you have acoustical problems, the solutions are as easy as ABC. You can absorb the sound via putting up acoustical sound tiles. You can use things as furniture, soft furniture, to absorb the sound. You can block the sound by putting up partition walls or have put on thicker walls depending on your cubicle or your office area. And then finally, there's a service that Haverford Systems provides called sound masking, which can cover unwanted sound and make conversations less intelligible, reducing distractions in a given area. Definitely ask Haverford Systems about that if you have any acoustical issues there. I just want to talk briefly about improper and proper lighting. One thing to remember to always avoid is natural lighting in the field of view of your camera, because cameras want to auto adjust, and that can be a problem when it's not focusing on you, it's actually focusing on outside. You can see here we have 2 examples of proper and improper lighting. Proper lighting will make the most out of your web conferencing setup. And the way to really achieve proper lighting is to have a key, a fill, a backlight, and a wash. Now, of course, this isn't cheap and it's not going to be your standard conference room, but if you have a setting where you want to have proper lighting, you can see the difference is very drastic. And even just simple, small upgrades to your lighting by adding a key or a fill can really improve your lighting. Also, should note here that consider the background of your setting. It's very nice to have a colored background that offsets against the table and what the people are wearing. So consider the background and consider painting your room an off-white or a light blue. Choosing a conference room table, most people that I meet with are stuck with what they have, but if you have a brand new setup here, you might want to consider using a matte finish to avoid distracting reflections off the camera. We've had that be a problem with people putting glass over the table, and the matte finish is definitely going to be preferable. Plan to integrate the correct amount of power, data, and audio-visual connections. This information will be helpful when selecting audio-visual cubbies so that we can make sure we get all of your connections integrated into your table. We've also found that using a U or a V-shaped table works great for video conferencing rooms. It's not very popular, but it definitely, if you're going to make a room dedicated to webinars and web conferencing, which is happening more and more, you may want to consider using a U or a V-shaped table. A little bit about facility preparation. I'm not going to go into that now, but your salesperson will talk to you about preparing your room for the audiovisual conference room. Here we have what we call our conference room standards, and I want to take a second here to look at this. Haverford Systems offers pre-built conference room standards that are tried and true solutions for audio and video conferencing. Here we have a basic and an enhanced version of our webinar ready conference room. They're both based on a 70-inch LED LCD, meaning that we think that that's about a 15 to 25 foot max size for that LCD to be able to be seen clearly from the farthest viewer. What we have here is an analog and a digital input at the table. That means we would put a cable cubby into your table, integrating power, audio-visual connections, and possibly an analog telephone line if you're using that for audio conferencing. The switching would be display-based, so you would have a remote control, and the audio would come from the speakers in the basics section. And this just comes with a HD fixed camera. But of course, if it is a conference room that you're doing high-level webinars, you may want to use a PTZ camera, which is an option down here. When you move to the enhanced version, you end up getting a more integrated system, that Clear One Interact that we looked at, and the button microphones are actually integrated into the table. And you also get an audio conferencing dialer. So those are just some ideas. Everything can be customized for you. I'll spend a second here talking about preparation and pre-launch. We have some tips here about what you can do several months before your launch, 2 weeks before your launch, 1 week before your launch, and then after your launch. And what that just does is gives you a good checklist here of things to do to identify potential champions and get your organization involved. Finally, here we have 2 service options that are available to keep your conference room up and running at all times. We have preventative maintenance that will come out once a year or more to be able to check the whole system and make sure everything's running whether there's a problem or not. We have priority troubleshooting and repair service, where we have one of the region's only repair center that's authorized for everything that we sell. We have 24-hour on-site response time, priority technical support on toll-free phone lines, and we have another system called the Accruing Have-A-Care Support Center, which allows you to budget what you think you would need, and if you don't use that budget towards service, it can be used towards purchasing new products and services. Finally, I would encourage everyone to visit our website. Haverford Systems is 100% solar powered. Our whole sales team has Toyota Priuses, which are very low on gas consumption. And we like to be able to not only be green ourselves, but help our customers be green by using less travel and using web conferencing. So thank you for listening to our presentation. Please encourage you to visit our website and learn more. Thank you.